everyone, and welcome back. Today, we're diving headfirst into the lumber industry.
Really interesting stuff, actually.
Yeah, we're going to get into a role that's, well, it's way more important than a lot of people realize, the Debarker operator. You know, I'll be honest, when I first saw this request, I was picturing someone just kind of moving logs around all day.
Right.
But we actually got some really in-depth material from RoleCatcher, and let me tell you, there's a lot more to it.
Yeah, a lot more to it.
So we're talking about the folks who run those massive debarking machines. They're really the unsung heroes of the whole lumber process, right?
Oh, wow, yeah.
Making sure those logs are stripped clean, ready for the next step. And from what I'm seeing here, it is not as simple as it sounds.
No, not at all.
So what really stood out to me right off the bat was this blend of, I don't know, technical skill and almost like an industrial artistry.
Totally.
It's not just feeding a machine, they're fine-tuning, they're troubleshooting, they're even working with management on efficiency, new tech.
Right. They're really on the cutting edge.
That's the part that really got me. You know, these digital systems, they're everywhere in debarking now. Like, they're monitoring performance, probably optimizing for different types of wood, I mean.
Oh, yeah. It's pretty amazing how much tech is involved.
It's a far cry from just, someone wrestling logs all day.
Totally. Totally.
This is where the real deep dive happens, right? We're not just looking at what the job is, but how it's changing.
Absolutely, yeah. That's the key.
And our sources over at RoleCatcher, they use this really interesting phrase, digital forestry.
Yeah. It's becoming a big thing.
And Debarker operators, they're the ones on the front lines of it. They have to be adaptable, tech-savvy. I mean, they got to troubleshoot the digital stuff just as much as the mechanical stuff.
Which is huge.
Yeah.
That really changes the skill set needed,
Exactly. And that gets me thinking, what does this mean for the skills these operators need now A&D in the future?
Yeah, it's a good question.
Well, let's start with the here and now. So RoleCatcher, they break it down into 4 stages, right? Entry-level, junior, intermediate, and senior.
A pretty classic career path.
Yeah, and it's a clear progression, but what really jumped out at me was how the skills, like what they emphasize, how it changes at each level.
Yeah, you really see that upward trajectory.
It's not just, can you work the machine? It's, do you understand the whole process? From the log selection all the way to quality control.
It becomes much more holistic.
And as you move up, right, you're managing people, resources, you're practically up there with the higher-ups talking strategy.
For sure, the higher you go, the more responsibility.
The senior debarker operator, that one stuck with me.
What about it?
Well, RoleCatcher was saying they might be overseeing multiple machines, leading a whole team.
Wow.
Working directly with, forestry management on these new technologies.
So they need that big picture thinking.
They're the ones making sure that whole operation is running smoothly, efficiently, and safely.
Yeah, it's a big job.
It's like they're conducting the whole symphony of wood processing or something.
A great way to put it.
Deep technical knowledge, but those leadership skills, too.
Right, the whole package.
It's not something you think about right away with this role, but it makes sense.
Totally.
And it highlights something really important. This isn't just a job, It's a career with real growth potential.
Definitely, a lot of opportunity there.
And that brings us to the other thing that really struck me in this RoleCatcher material, the work environment.
Oh, yeah.
Forget your climate-controlled office. We're talking sawmills, logging operations, the great outdoors.
Real deal.
These operators, they're working in all kinds of weather. You got the noise, the dust, the elements. It's not your average desk job.
Definitely not. You got to be cut out for that kind of work.
Exactly. And that takes a special kind of person, someone who thrives out there.
Someone who enjoys it.
Someone who enjoys the physicality of it all, seeing those logs get stripped clean. It's demanding, no doubt, but there's a certain appeal to it,
Oh, for sure. For the right person, it's incredibly rewarding.
And I bet there's a real sense of, camaraderie out there.
Yeah, absolutely. You're all in it together.
But it's not all, sunshine and sawdust, right? Every job has its downsides, and being a debarker operator, well...
It's no exception.
RoleCatcher, to their credit, they don't shy away from the tougher parts.
Nope.
They're upfront about it being physically demanding, long hours, you're exposed to the elements.
It's not for everyone.
And while the pay is generally good, you also have the risk of repetitive strain injuries. Got to be constantly alert around those machines.
Safety is paramount.
Absolutely paramount. Which makes sense when you think about the equipment these folks are handling.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of which, I was really curious about the machines themselves. RoleCatcher goes into some pretty good detail about the different types of debarking systems out there, and it's not a one-size-fits-all situation.
Not at all. It's amazing how specialized this stuff gets.
Well, what kinds of methods are we talking here?
Well, there's two main approaches. You got abrasion and you got cutting.
Okay, so abrasion cutting.
Abrasion debarkers, they basically use friction, like giant sandpaper rollers, just rubbing that bark right off.
Oh, wow.
And then cutting debarkers, they use blades, knives, literally peeling it away.
Makes sense.
And each one, it's going to have its pros and cons, depends on the wood, the finish you want, even how much moisture is in those logs.
It's like that whole, what is it, sandpaper versus sanding block debate?
Right. Everyone's got their preference.
But seriously, this is why I love these deep dives. You really start to appreciate the details.
Absolutely.
It's easy to take lumber for granted, but the engineering behind it,
Oh, it's fascinating when you get into it.
it really is remarkable.
It is.
And it just highlights how important it is to have these skilled operators, right?
Oh, absolutely.
People who get those nuances, who can adjust the machines on the fly, solve problems as they come up.
Troubleshooting's a huge part of it, yeah.
Which brings us back to that big question we touched on earlier.
Automation.
Automation, exactly.
That's a big one. How bad?
How is this whole digital forestry thing going to impact these debarker operators in the long run?
That's what we all want to know.
Yeah. Are we going to see these automated systems just take over completely?
It's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is. And I don't think anyone has a crystal ball that can tell us for sure.
Nope.
But I think it's safe to say that automation's going to shake things up, for sure.
Oh, yeah, big changes.
But whether it'll totally replace human workers,
That's the question.
that I don't know.
It's about adaptation, right? Learning
Yeah.
to work with the tech, not against it.
Exactly. And I mean, look at other industries where this has happened.
Plenty of examples.
It's not always about replacing jobs entirely.
Right.
It's about changing what those jobs look like.
New opportunities.
Exactly. New opportunities for the people who can adapt, evolve their skills.
Exactly.
So instead of, manually operating a debarker, maybe the debarker operator of the future is more like, I don't know, a supervisor?
Could be.
A technician? Maybe?
Yeah.
Possibly.
Maybe even a programmer.
Oh, interesting.
Making sure those machines are humming along.
Yeah, I like that.
They're programming the machines, troubleshooting glitches, looking at data.
Optimizing.
Optimizing. All those skills that build on what they already know, but taken to that next level.
That's a cool way to think about it.
It really is exciting to think about.
It is.
The human element, that ingenuity, that problem solving, it becomes even more valuable as technology advances.
I think you're right. That human element is key.
And here's another thought. With this whole digital forestry thing,
Yeah.
we could see even more sustainable practices in the lumber industry.
How so?
Well, imagine using data to really optimize how we're using these logs.
Yeah.
Minimizing waste,
Smart forestry.
Exactly. Making better decisions about how we manage our forests.
That's where it gets really interesting.
And that's something RoleCatcher talks about, too, this whole idea of smart forestry, using technology not just for efficiency,
Right.
but for environmental responsibility.
It's a win-win. Exactly. So you've got these future debarker operators comfortable with the tech, A&D, the ecological side of things.
Powerful combination.
They could be hugely valuable to companies who want to operate more sustainably.
Oh, absolutely.
It's about bringing those two worlds together, the forest floor and the digital world.
Bridging the gap.
Using technology to deepen our understanding of this incredible resource.
That's a great
And
point.
it makes you realize just how much potential there is in a role like this.
Absolutely. Tons of potential.
I feel like we just, I don't know, scratched the surface a little bit with this whole digital forestry revolution.
We could do a whole nother deep dive on that alone.
Oh, easily.
Yeah.
Maybe we will. Who knows? But you're right. There's so much more to uncover there.
So much to learn.
But for now, I think we should bring this deep dive in for a nice, smooth landing.
Sounds good to me.
All right, so let's do a quick recap of what we've gone over. We started off thinking of debarker operators as, basically just pushing logs around.
Right. Simple stuff.
And now we see they're practically at the helm of these intricate, vital machines, making big decisions about quality, efficiency.
This is impressive.
And with this whole digital forestry thing picking up steam, I mean, their role is only getting more important.
Oh, absolutely.
They're the bridge between those traditional skills and this, cutting edge technology.
The best of both worlds.
Exactly. And it just shows you, even these jobs that we think of as, blue collar, They're evolving.
Oh,
They
yeah.
need new skills. They offer new opportunities.
It's a whole new ballgame.
And it all comes back to something we've talked about a lot in these deep dives: adaptability.
Couldn't agree more.
Being able to learn new things, adjust to those new
That's
technologies.
crucial.
That's going to be huge no matter what you do moving forward.
Totally.
It's not about what you know right now at this exact moment.
It's bigger than that.
It's about, can you keep learning? Are you curious?
That's what matters.
And that's something anyone can work on, right? Wherever they are in their career.
Absolutely. Always room to grow.
Which I think is the perfect note to wrap things up on, don't you think?
Perfect. I love it.
So, to everyone listening out there, keep those minds open, stay curious, and remember, even in a world of automation,
There's always a need for good people.
there's always room for that human touch. And with that, we'll wrap up this deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring.